Do you ever think about what happens to your food waste after it leaves your home? Most of it, in fact, ends up in landfills, contributing to a growing problem. But what if there was a better way? Enter composting, an eco-friendly practice that transforms your kitchen scraps into nutrient-rich soil. It's a simple yet powerful way to reduce waste and nurture the earth. So imagine if, instead of contributing to the problem, you could become part of the solution through composting. But what exactly is composting, you may ask? Well, composting is a natural process that transforms your kitchen and garden waste into a valuable and nutrient-rich food for your garden. It's easy to make and use. Let's delve a little deeper. Composting is about more than merely disposing of waste. It's a biological process where microorganisms, such as bacteria and fungi, break down organic material into simpler substances. This process creates a dark, crumbly substance called compost that's high in nutrients, making it perfect for enriching garden soil. But not everything goes into your compost pile. You can compost plant-based waste, coffee grounds, eggshells, and yard waste. These materials break down easily and provide a balanced diet for your compost's microorganisms. However, you should avoid adding meats, dairies, and diseased plants, as they can attract pests or create unpleasant smells. In essence, composting is nature's way of recycling, turning waste into wealth. So, how can you start composting at home? Well, let's walk through it together, step by step. First things first, you'll need to decide on a location for your compost bin or pile. This could be a corner of your garden or a sunny spot on your balcony. The key is to choose a spot that's easily accessible and not too close to living spaces, as composting can produce a natural earthy scent. Next, you'll need to start layering your compost pile. Think of it as building a lasagna. You'll alternate layers of green and brown materials. Green materials are rich in nitrogen and include things like vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, and fresh grass clippings. Brown materials, on the other hand, are rich in carbon and include items such as dried leaves, straw, and paper. A good rule of thumb is to use 3 parts brown materials to 1 part green. Now, on to maintaining your compost pile. Your compost pile needs air and moisture, just like any living thing. Turn your compost pile every few weeks to let it breathe. If it's looking a little dry, give it a sprinkle of water, but be careful not to make it too soggy. You're aiming for the consistency of a wrung-out sponge. Patience is key here. Over several weeks or months, your compost pile will transform into a dark, crumbly material with a pleasant, earthy smell. This is your compost, also known as black gold. You can use it to enrich the soil in your garden, nourish your potted plants, or even share it with your neighbors. And there you have it, a step-by-step guide to composting at home. Yes, it might be a bit of a learning curve, but the benefits are worth it. And remember, the beauty of composting is that you can adjust and experiment as you go along. It's not an exact science, but rather a wonderful nature-driven process. With patience and a little effort, you'll have your own supply of black gold for your garden. Now that you know how to compost, you might wonder, why does it matter? Let's delve into the nitty-gritty of the environmental benefits that composting brings about. Firstly, it significantly reduces landfill waste. When organic matter is dumped in landfills, it decomposes without air, producing methane, a potent greenhouse gas. But when we compost, we cut down on the amount of waste going to the landfill, and in turn, the methane emissions. Speaking of greenhouse gases, composting also lowers carbon dioxide emissions. How, you ask? By trapping carbon within the compost and the plants that grow from it, we are effectively sequestering carbon, preventing it from being released into the atmosphere. But the environmental goodness doesn't stop there. Composting enriches the soil. By returning valuable nutrients back to the earth, it promotes healthier plant growth, reducing the need for chemical fertilizers and pesticides. This enriched soil also holds water better, which means less water usage and runoff, further aiding in conservation efforts. All these benefits highlight how composting is a simple, practical action that anyone can take to combat climate change and promote sustainable living. It's not just about reducing waste, it's about creating a positive impact on our planet. So, remember, the power to make a difference is in your hands, or rather, in your compost pile.